was working in an NGO. Nobody was owning an NGO. So literally that was not an imagination that I had for myself. So I was raised by my mom, and it was me and my brother. My mom was working in a very low-level government office, so she literally didn't have much. So I ended up to go to public schools, Kayumba. In Swahili we call them Kayumba. You carry a broom in the and water going to school because you need to clean before you get into class. So I went to a primary school called Kimarabaruti. It's in Dar, but a little bit farther away from Dar. And when I graduated, I was selected in a public ward school. So in 2005, Tanzania had introduced ward schools, like having secondary school within a specific ward. And I was selected in one. And in that ward school that I went, it was pretty far from where I was staying. So most of us were walking like 45 minutes an hour going, coming back. And when we got to school, we didn't have classes, we didn't have labs, we didn't have libraries, and everybody around me that I looked at, they looked worse than me. And then we went on with school, and people kept on dropping out. We were like 400 students, and I think by the time we were graduating, we were only 200. And then out of 200 who did national examinations, only 9 of us made it to high school, 3 being girls, and I was one among the 3 girls. So when I joined high school, luckily now I was selected to join a high school in town, Tambaza High School. So when I got there, I had this big burden inside of me. I was like, I left a lot of my friends, girls and boys. And I don't think I was the smartest. I just think I was lucky. So I wanted to understand what really made me succeed and leave others behind. And that is when I learned that when you're born in a poor environment, or when you're born poor, you're likely to face many challenges than the privileged ones. You get sick, you might die because you can't afford a hospital. You don't go to good schools, you might fail. So for me, it was like these people did not have, we didn't have enough resources, but also we need to do extra work than others. Because I remember I used to do extra classes, which demanded me to walk to the main bus, then take another bus coming to town in Ubungo, and then get every time I arrived at the tuition, I used to be this student who was very dirty because I had a lot of dust with me from walking. And then when I leave the classes in the evening from the tuition I was going, I have to take like 2 hours getting home. By that time, transport was hectic going to Kimara. You have to be climbing using windows and etc. So it was quite a hassle. And that's when I realized maybe it's important to equip youth on how to navigate difficult challenges. How do you still excel even if you don't have enough resources? Maybe you need to find extra resources, but where? So then that's when I started like a movement in school to actually speak to fellow youth in high school, how they navigate difficult challenges. So I brought in different role models. These were like successful men, successful women in different industries that youth were looking at. And I wanted them to come and share, not their success, but share how did they navigate difficult challenges. But also I wanted to also girls in school to understand their rights, because by that time a lot of girls were dropping out because of teen pregnancies, early marriages, and I felt it was really important for girls to be taught about self-confidence and self-esteem. And then after that, I graduated high school, I joined University of Dar es Salaam, and then I found myself so broke. I don't know about you guys, when you were in uni, did you have money? I didn't have money, and whenever I call my mom, she doesn't have money, and I have a lot of expenses. And I started seeing my peers getting into risk behaviors. So I spoke to my friends again. I was like, okay guys, what can we do? They're like, how about we start entrepreneurship events in school so that we can learn how to utilize extra time. So me and my friends started events called Panda Events in University of Dar es Salaam, where we brought in different entrepreneurs, and they were like training young people, but also they offered different opportunities like internship, volunteering opportunities. And we did that for 2 years. And from those events, later in the year, 3 years later, 4 years later, it's when I was inspired to register an organization that is focusing on economic rights for women and girls. So in summary, I could say my personal experiences have led me into this journey. So what do your personal experiences lead you to? You know, it's not the good ones that lead you to good. And I think maybe the hardest ones are the ones that boost your creativity and increase your chance. So start thinking, what are my experiences now leading me to? Thank you.
Sure. And have you ever felt doubted because maybe we are your age?
Oh my God, I don't know how. I have so many examples to tell you. But when I started the movement in high school and university, when I was in high school, I used to call these people with my uniform. I remember I went to Tanzania Women Lawyers, an organization that is working on like legal rights for women. Me and my friends, we like took a bus from Tambaza and went to Ilala. And then when we got there, we told them, we want you to teach us about girls' rights. And I think we met a guy, and he really laughed. And then he looked at us with our uniform, we were pretty with a lot of dust. But then one of the reasons why he trained us to train others is because he saw something different. But it's been really hard in the NGO sector. And I'll tell you, the first 2 years when we started our initiative, it was so hard. We were very passionate, but it reached a point we could not even afford transport, we could not even afford meals. And by that time, I had been in different rooms in the country, you know, maybe invited to speak, featured in like news or social media, but nobody was willing to give young people money. And I understand even now, the money is there, but the money is not really trickling down to young people. And I remember in July 2021, I was so tired, I saw my people so tired, because by that time, I had quit my job 2 years ago, a very good paying job, to go and start this organization. And then 2 years after doing a lot of work on the ground, trying to network, having everything in place, nobody's wanted to give money. Why? We can trust young people. Even though there's so many campaigns around putting young people in the center. So I wanted to shut down the organization. I told my people we're shutting down, we're going home. But I told them, I spoke to a sister of mine and she told me, why don't you write how you're feeling? And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna write a letter and I'm gonna quit, but I'm gonna speak my truth. So I wrote a letter saying to development partners, put your money where your words are. On Medium, you can just Google it. And I explained the frustration of what it looks like to be a young leader in Tanzania running an organization. And I just said the truth, like, you want to train young people, we are overtrained, we are over-mentored. We need resources. Where do I exercise all my ideas? When the money is coming, the money is going to the big organizations with the excuse that young people can't manage money, which is not the truth, you know. But when we want to do many things, to doing a lot of due diligence and say, I want you to have 5 years audited reports, I want you to have this, you take out the qualification that I'm still young. So for me, I felt rejected by the system because the system was not recognizing me climbing the ladder and growing. So I wrote that letter speaking the frustration for me and many other young people. And that is to say, the word young is appreciated when it comes to creativity and innovation. But the word young is underestimated when it comes to building successful companies, successful NGOs, successful events, if you know what I'm talking about. And that's the narrative that we need to change. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the young people of today are like magic. The energy, the creativity, the ambition is maybe higher than even like when I was graduating. So how do we actually invest in that, resource that, to make sure that we get results? And from my experience, I think age, they say, is just a number, but age is just a barrier that we use as an excuse to actually support young people. And we need to start demanding that. We need to start demanding being on the tables. We need to start demanding to be appreciated. We need to start demanding to be included. Because I tell you, the moment you are thriving, everyone will say like, oh, she's young and she's doing it, even if you knocked on their door. So yeah, let's keep going.
Thank you so much, Lydia. Jamani, pige makofi tena. And I think that's why we have AYLF, Dr. Tim. Because say we want to see the young leaders take part, step up, stand up, stand up. So based on the frustration